All right, good morning and thank you for joining us on the show Spring Trends on Western Spring Television. That part of Morning Spring where we bring you who is trending, what is trending, and why they are trending, and what people are saying about the who, the what, and the why. This morning we start on a very dire note. Things are not going well in the country. People, they suffer as it were. And a lot of things are going wrong. There's the fuel scarcity, there's the new Naira note crunch. There is, of course, also no electricity. Nothing is working in the country. The only thing working is the political system, where they're busy dragging each other by their bia and by their ties. So let's go straight to Twitter and see how people... Now, this is the lamentation of people on Twitter. We'll begin with Cross. Cross says Nigerians are really suffering these last days of the APC-led presidency. Endless queues to take out money from ATMs, endless queues to buy fuel at outrageous prices per litre. Now you sabi if you still go vote APC this February. Chief Nomso says no money dispensing in ATMs, banks claiming they have no money, transfers are bouncing back. What the Friday is going on? The next comment is from Abigail. Abigail says fuel is scarce, ATMs aren't still dispensing. POS vendors are charging excess for withdrawal and banks are having network issues. Nkem says, been to ATMs of 4 banks today, no cash, and bank transfers are not going through. POS operators are charging ridiculous amounts, there's still no fuel, and power has been poor. By February 26th, we will know the number of MAD people in Nigeria by the number of votes APC gets. Akintunde Babatunde says, ATMs are almost impossible access points for withdrawals. Over the years, POS shops have taken over. The inefficiency of traditional banks continue to skyrocket every other day. Giant of Africa that cannot solve basic issues at the end of the banking value chain. Shediawana giant, Abijawana ant. Africans says, Nigerians are finally realizing that a bank having 6 ATMs with just 2 dispensing cash is incompetency. Very true. How do you have 6 ATMs and only 2 are working? That's some high level of incompetence. FFI says, I've been to 8 different bank ATMs today. Ajala travel all over the world. No cash except first banks that managed to sputter out 5,000 Naira only per ATM card withdrawal. Nigeria, you can see the frustration there. 3 exclamation marks. Maazio Maker says, no lights, no fuel, no cash at ATM banks. Nigerians can't even get foods to eat. Yes, I've not eaten in 6 days now. I've been fasting and praying for the country. You know, transport fare has skyrocketed. Yes, I had to trek 4 hours to the office this morning. I crossed 2 rivers, swam across those 2 rivers. I fought 2 lions. Wow. Yet APC are still campaigning despite all the things I'm going through, just to keep Nigerians perpetually poor. God have mercy. Omolola Sterling says apps not working, USSD codes error, POS hiking service charge, ATMs not dispensing, no cash at hand, new note scarcity, for scarcity, no light, and general rise in prices. What will the Antichrist era be like? God, are you sure we're not in the Antichrist era? I feel that the world is ending. This is the end of the world for us. Oluwalo Shola Dewumi says, I haven't been able to withdraw any cash at the ATMs, whether old or new, so I'm trying to manage the 2K cash on me for very important cash payments. What can you do with 2K? Network issues has been terrible for the banks. I was debited twice yesterday for a transaction. And Yomi Akinshola says, this bank at Ojudu this night, this was around 7:54 yesterday, February 1st. People still struggling to get their own money from ATMs. As an APC supporter, how do you convince people to vote for your party on 25th? But surprisingly, people will still vote for that party. K says, I haven't been able to get water for the past 2 days. The POS guys don't have cash, bank apps and USSD codes aren't working. I was almost stranded on my way home today. My landlady had to speak with the vendor in my area so I can buy water and pay later. Very dire situation. Double Joy says, while the new Naira notes are scarce among average Nigerians, the big boys are throwing them left, right, center, and even using them as footmat at events and parties. Olajide Adebayo says, CBN wants us to go cashless. A good initiative. How do we go cashless if our banks won't let us though? I can't get money from the ATMs. I also can't make transfers because both the mobile app and the USSD option are all down. Fix up to Nigeria itself. Pharmacist Diana says, doing business in Nigeria is so stressful right now. Clients don't have enough cash. Those that want to transfer can't because the bank's apps, USSD don't work. POS machines failed transactions, declined message, but users still get debited. Jasper Orisa says scarcity of cash, no network for bank app transfers, no network for USSD code transfers, scarcity of foil, high transportation cost, companies downsizing their workers, worst time to be in Nigeria. Well, that's the last comment on that story for you this morning. We'll move away from that to the political scene. It seems that I've been hearing it all over the place, but I want to tell you now that there is a huge crack in the ruling All Progressives Congress, and when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. I hope the grass doesn't suffer. But then let's take you to Lagos yesterday or 2 days ago, where Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, granted an interview to Channels Television, and in that interview he said quite a number of things ranging from economy to security and all of that. But the most striking statement was an accusation that he had for his party at the national level, including the presidency and whatever is going on in Aso Rock. Let's take a listen to that video.
I believe that there are elements in the villa that want us to lose the elections because they didn't get their way. They had their candidate. Their candidate didn't win the primaries, and I think they are still trying to get us to lose the elections, and they are hiding behind the president's desire to do what he thinks is right.
The president's desire to do what he thinks, in quote, is right. So that means the president thinks he's doing what is right, and that may not be the right thing. Now let's see the reactions of Nigerians on Twitter to that particular video yesterday when it came out. Eniola Akinkotu says, El-Rufai says people in the villa are working against the APC. Despite his forthrightness, he refused to reveal their identities. These guys against Tinubu are more powerful than all the G5 put together. What makes it worse is they are silent and control critical government agencies. Revolutionary Youth Toti Messi says, lies silence was so loud, I knew something was amiss. Now it's obvious whose side of APC he is. El-Rufai for Tinubu, lie for Buhari. We obedience don't care if they dance naked in the market. All we care about is going to the polls and making PO our president. We no want wahala. Iato says the implosion has started. 24 days left, many things will crash. This is Malam El-Rufai openly talking about the division in APC. A divided house cannot win. Undecided voters, our window is still open. Labour Party is the party. Peter will be the candidate. Archangel Jesse Halliday says Tinubu and Buhari are fighting a cold war, and El-Rufai has just confirmed it. One person will be served breakfast come February 25th. Rufai. Sir Odu says, no wonder the country is experiencing sorrow, tears, and blood, trials, and tribulation. STB, wow. APC sabotaging APC. Guys, these people need to go. We can't afford another 6 months of PD-APC government. No jokes. Chuks Akuna says, El-Rufai confirms what we've always known. PMB is working at cross purposes with the APC. Most officials around the president in the villa aren't APC members. They are not on the same page with Tinubu and want APC to lose the general elections. Mr. El Bonga comes next. He says, El-Rufai said that there are elements in the villa who are still pained their candidate didn't make it and are hell-bent towards bringing down the party. Connect the dots, and you understand the point. Fuel scarcity, naira scarcity, bank queues, all less 3 weeks to elections. Elon says any Southerner that is celebrating what El-Rufai did on Channels TV is naive. They are looking for excuses to abandon the Southerner they picked as a candidate so they can support Atiku. If Atiku wins, watch this repeat itself in 2023. Abdulaziz Naibi Abubakar says, for those parties hailing Ganduje, El-Rufai and other northern governors for parting ways with President lack political knowledge. These governors clearly know the infighting between President Muhammadu Buhari and Bat is the easiest way to destroy Tinubu's presidential ambition. Game on. And Quadri Akambi of Lagos says, wow, 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 ambulance. The first lady has posted Governor El-Rufai's interview on our Instagram page. A wife like Aisha Buhari. Well, that's the last comment on that story, but let's remind you that Aisha Buhari has been at crossheads, has been at loggerheads with her husband, you know, many years ago, before when she relocated to Dubai, she said some very strong things that her husband wasn't in charge and some persons were in charge of the president. We've seen that play out. I mean, the uncle to the president, who holds no official position, locked out the first lady and her children from Aso Rock. That's how terrible things are in the Buhari presidency. He is not simply in charge of the presidency. But let's move on to the cabinet members of the president. His Minister for Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, yesterday at the ministerial briefing, responded to Governor El-Rufai's statement. Lai Mohammed was asked if indeed the president is working at crossroads, at cross purposes with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and this is what he had to say.
That is committed to a free, fair and credible election. And fair, free and credible election actually means not favoring anybody or disadvantaging anybody. And everywhere he goes, he makes that very clear. Even as recently as Friday, when he was in Daura, he said the same thing. So if there's anybody who's working against any candidate, we don't know officially.
Well, Lai Mohammed doesn't know officially if anybody's working against his party's presidential candidate. So he probably knows unofficially. Well, that's left to be said. The president, Muhammadu Buhari, is creating history, and I don't think personally that that's good history. In the history of Nigerian politics, all incumbent presidents or even governors, when they are leaving, have campaigned for their predecessors, except in Osun State, in where else? Imo State, and in Ogun State. And of course, some issues in Rivers State. But then, on the national level, we've not seen this play out before. And now, Lai Mohammed is saying that President Buhari, disturbingly, is not favoring or antagonizing anybody. Even if you're not going to antagonize, you should at least favor your candidate without tinkering or tampering with the institutions that will bring about free, fair elections. Now let's see the responses of people to that claim by Lai Mohammed. Osaro Ikinwi says he should back his party man. His party men backed him to become president. Well, that's true. If this was a party primary, I would clap for him. But in the general election, it is a selfish statement. The next comment comes from pharmacist Agu Bandieze. Says, not till after presidential election I will take you guys serious. You can't fool me. After the whole brouhaha over new Naira notes, we know how it ended. Big Wiz Lover says, who else thinks all this might be an act? Don't trust these fellas. Where politicians can also pass for actors and actresses. They do the most ludicrous things, and eventually you see them shaking hands and partying together. Real Matter says the reason why they are angry is because Buhari is not ready to rig the election in their favor, and he said he wants it to be free and fair election. Well, that's just the opinion of that person. Gapson says it smacks of betrayal and high level of ingratitude from a man who benefited immensely from the support and goodwill of people to become president. It's against every known norm in party politics. Supporting your party doesn't stand in the way of free and fair election. And that's true. I mean, President Buhari came to power because all the warring parties had to bury their hatchets to kick out the PDP. President Buhari contested under the platform of the ANPP. He lost, contested under CPC. He also lost. I think Tunde Bakare was his running mate then. And then the ACN, the AD, everybody came together to kick out the PDP, and then he benefited from that. And now this man is saying that he has no interest whatsoever in whoever succeeds him. I think that it's not really fair from the president. We'll move on to the next comment. Toby Holloway. Toby Holloway is our next comment. He says that chicken coming home to roost. Mad political party that should never be made to smell power for the next 1 million years. Whoa. Philipson Nwagbe says, if you know that the man who won the ticket of your party used money to get a ticket, if you know he has skeletons in his cupboard, he is a worse tyrant than you are and he will not make a good president. Will you support him? Country first before party. And our very last comment on that story, Okpaoluwa says, when Lai Mohammed says PMB isn't favoring anybody, not disadvantaging anybody, what does that even mean for the leader of a party that has a duly elected presidential candidate? We'll have to call Boo Boo and speak to him and let him explain to us what he means. I mean, all my babies have been disappointing me so far. Boo Boo baby disappointing, Murphy baby disappointing, and of course Daisy baby came yesterday to disappoint me. I'm really shocked. I'm saddened. I'm downcast and emotionally affected. Well, let's go to the last story. In November 2021, a Twitter user put up this photo that you will see on your screen shortly of 5 men, and these 5 men, at the time this photo was taken, they had been arrested by the EFCC for corruption cases relating to the Dasuki Sambo and the Armsgate scandal, you know, with the millions and billions of naira that was shared between some persons, money that was meant for purchasing arms for Nigerian soldiers. Now let's see that picture. Let's see how many of those men you can recognize. Right there on your screen, you can see them. I personally can recognize 4 of them. From your left on the screen there, the man in black is current governor. At the time he was a senator, but now is the current governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed. Right next to him is Reuben Abati, who was spokesperson to President Goodluck Jonathan and is now one of the anchors on Arise Television. Right there is a former governorship candidate of Lagos and a former minister for defense, Musli Obanikoro. And next to him is the Jala travel all over the world, the political prostitute, like some person call him, Femi Fani-Kayode, former Minister of Aviation. The last man is a mystery man that we don't know. Now let's see how Twitter users, is a throwback, you know, today's Thursday, Throwback Thursday. Let's see how Twitter users responded then in 2021. Anaga Bana says, isn't that Reuben Abati of Arise TV? And the person who tweeted the photo said, yes, he is the one. Adaiboy says, it's Reuben Abati and Isonu FFK. I can remember there. Yes. Now, Earl Jude says, I can see His Excellency Senator Bala Mohammed of Anikoro, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, Reuben Abati of Arise TV. Who is the 5th person there? These are the questions. Oduwole Ibrahim says, the court decides who is guilty or not guilty, not EFCC. Koro, as far as I can recall, refunded some money and was used as prosecution witnesses in the Dasuki Gate. Bala Mohammed also had several billions forfeited to federal government. Murtala Nyako, Ojikalu both convicted under this government. Now, Murtala Nyako and Jolly Nyame were pardoned by President Buhari last year. Both of them are now free men, despite having stolen billions of naira and having been sentenced to 12 years in jail, respectively. Now, Ojikalu, in his own right, is currently on trial, but on bail, having stolen 551 billion naira. Allegedly, that's $500 billion plus 51. I mean, what? $500 billion naira? My God. Anyway, let's move on. Wealth says no one fights corruption in Nigeria. You only fight opposition. It's simple political philosophy. It's either they're with you or against you. Omo Lauren says, that's my take. Fighting corrupted people as acclaimed, but no results for 6 years. I beg, now who be fool? If the same Desiane returns to Nigeria and comes to APC, what would happen? Don't be fooled by our politicians. It's all about personal interest. But that's where we end the show this morning. And I must remind you that my baby, Daisy baby, Alison Madueke, has written to courts in Nigeria asking them to return all her forfeited property because she was not given fair hearing. You know, that's the first woman in Nigerian history to purchase a bedazzled bra with, you know, diamonds. Not that I've seen the bra, I'm not saying that I've seen it because she's my baby. I'm saying because it was reported in the news. Well, that's where we end the show this morning. My name is Emmanuel Ojadigele. You can follow me on Twitter at EM on Facebook, Emmanuel Ojadigele, and Instagram, once in a while, Ima Ojadigele. Follow the station Western Spring on all our social media handles as displayed on your screen. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll see you on the TGIF edition of Spring Trends tomorrow. We'll be dancing to some Indian music, so get your dancing shoes ready. Do have a lovely Thursday.